Welcome into this episode of Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff with you, and great to have you along. Today we're joined by head basketball coach of the boys, Jacob Birnbaum. And Coach, I was kind of joking with you a little bit off air before we went on. No rest for the weary when it comes to 6A basketball. I mean, you're playing somebody pretty good almost every night. So yeah, it's tough out there. You guys doing the best you can.
Absolutely. We're coming off of a real tough stretch where we really haven't been able to practice for about the last 2 weeks or so. Going back a couple weeks, we had flu, COVID, strep throat was going through our team. So we had to reschedule that Moore game a couple Fridays back. And kind of after we had played Enid that Tuesday, hung tough with them, didn't get the result we wanted. And Wednesday I had only had 7 of my 15 varsity players that were able to come to practice, and that's kind of what the case was the rest of that week. So weren't able to practice a lot. Had to try to kind of stay away from each other and get the sickness down. And then we jump right back into it last week. We go to Owasso on Tuesday, play in Deer Creek Wednesday, Thursday, and then school's out or.
Yeah.
We went to school Friday, but had to finish up practice quick. Haven't been able to practice since then, and then we got 2 days, today and tomorrow, to kind of get our feet back underneath us, and then see if we can't go get one against Northwest Classen on Friday.
It's so interesting because every year poses different challenges, and you have the sickness, and then you have the weather come in right after. But you can't get better if you're not practicing. That's the thing, and you guys haven't even been able to get on the court. You can get, like you said, 5 to 7 guys out there, but you haven't been able. There's a chemistry that builds when you have that right rotation out there, and you're practicing every day. You guys really haven't had that luxury since you've really gotten to the tough stretch of basketball in the new year.
Yeah, and I know it's frustrating for me. It's a little frustrating for the kids also because, we felt like we were really starting to turn that corner, and we were just real close in a bunch of games in a row. We're just waiting for trying to get that first domino to fall. And we felt like we were about to knock it down, and then, when you don't have everybody in practice and you go a long time without being able to work on stuff, basketball is not really the sport where you can just pick back up after not being in the gym for a while and stick with it. But, we're not making excuses. Like I said, we'll have today and tomorrow to really get back in the gym, get our lungs back, get our legs back underneath us, kind of, straighten out some of the things we feel like we need to straighten out. And we have a really good shot to go get one on Friday. I think that's one we felt like got away from us at home right before Christmas break. So it's one we've had circled on the calendar for a while.
All right, you bring up you said lungs back, and that's why I'm going to go into conditioning. When you've been fighting the illness, weather, all that, you want to practice on getting better, but at the same time, you can't really practice on getting better if guys can't be out there the full time they need to be out there. So conditioning has to be something that, it's an ongoing thing always. But for me, if I was looking at it as a coach, my worry would be that conditioning has faltered more now than anything based on these circumstances. So how do you get them back to that point first before you can move forward, right?
And that kind of goes without saying, You lose it way faster than you gain it.
Yeah.
You go a few days and it can shock the kids a little bit.
Well, and you got sickness too.
Yeah.
You had the sickness to it. All of a sudden, your body takes time. Anybody's been sick knows that you're not going to be good until quite a ways after that.
So we're definitely going to have to get after it at the beginning of practice, get after some lines. But I usually try to work that stuff within the drills and the things that we do at practice so that we're not just running up and down the floor, touching lines the whole time. Try to make drills competitive. Try to add a level of playing game likeness to things so that even though we're going to get conditioned by doing the drills, the kids don't recognize it as much. Like, oh, man, we're just running. Kind of building that back up. And another thing we've been talking about as coaches, something I think I need to do a better job of, is using a little bit more of our depth. And, it can be challenging when you have a lot of young guys and, trusting them to go out there. But I feel like we have a lot of guys on our bench that are able to come in and play spot minutes and do a good job and not have as much of a fall off as we think. And so I think, working on our conditioning, but also boosting our lineup with a little bit more depth will help offset some of those conditioning issues.
Yeah, one thing I mean term I've always heard with basketball coaches is stealing minutes, right? And what they mean by that is, if you watch you see it in high school too, but watch college or pro ball. Say there's coach calls timeout or there's a dead ball and it's a minute before that set timeout's going to come, and in high school before the quarter. Okay, we got a 4-point lead. That guy's conditioning is going to be more important towards the end of the game than it is in the first quarter. So let me go ahead and get him out for the minute. Well, you got that minute with the quarter. All of a sudden, this guy's got to sit down for 5 minutes when it's all said and done. Sometimes, well, that's going to refresh him a little bit. So as a coach, and I know you're still learning things too. Learning how to steal those minutes and when the right time to steal those minutes is something I'm sure you're finding challenging, but something that's really needed right now to help this team.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, a lot of it, and I've had this discussion with the players, just comes down to trust. And, some of the kids that are juniors, seniors, or that played a lot last year, they have a little bit wider margin of error when they're out there, because I have a certain level of trust with them from what I've seen in practice, what I've seen in games over the course of their careers. Whereas, some of those younger kids that are freshmen and sophomores, it's not that I don't think that they deserve that opportunity, not that there's just sometimes there's that gap in trust, and it takes a little bit throughout the season for them to kind of gain that from me. And I think I need to be a little bit more open with giving out that trust, because we do have a lot of kids that come in and work their tails off and, are strong mentally and able to go out and play through mistakes. And whether it's, the case of a Tucker Love as a freshman kid that I've been trying to steal some minutes with, because I just know he's going to go out and play defense as well as he can. Anything he'll give us on offense is a bonus, but I know he's gonna do what he can to do his job defensively. Hurton Bryant is another guy where I feel like was high on him at the beginning of the season. He went through a little bit of a freshman slump, trying to turnovers and trying to figure stuff out. But I think he played very well in our last 2 games before we got shut down on the tournament. So those are the kinds of guys, that I'm looking to just mix in a couple more minutes here, mix in a couple more minutes there, especially in the first half, to give our older bunch, our main guys, a little bit more gas at the end of the games. And, I think playing them early on will give me another level of trust. And, hey, this guy's playing really well. Maybe we go back to him, in the second half.
All right. I think you're kind of looking at it with everything that's gone on Friday, getting a couple of days practice Friday, big game, because like you said, that was one you thought slipped away. You don't want to put so much in one game, but do you feel like this is the shot of confidence and maybe this is something that could be a turning point if you guys could find a way to play well and get the W?
Absolutely. Don't try to put any more emphasis on one game. Every game is just as important as the next, but for us to get the kind of seeding that we'd like to get, and we think we're capable of getting for the playoffs, we got to start getting some of these district games. And we have a bunch coming up that we feel like we can get. The Owasos, the Unions at the top. Not going to say we don't have a chance, but those games are a little bit tougher for us to get. But you look at the teams that we've played really close, Classen, Sand Springs. We didn't have anywhere near our best showing against Bixby the last time that we played them, and those are teams that we all feel like we have a good shot against. And unless we want to end up playing Putnam City North, who's a really
at their place.
Yeah, unless we want to end up playing Putnam City North first round, which would be a monumental task to kind of take on. We feel like we can get ourselves something a little easier bite to chew off of if we can get some of these district wins. That, again, I feel like we're very capable. It's just a matter of us going out, executing, and getting the job done.
Yeah, and the other thing, you have a lot of home games kind of rolled up at the end of the schedule. So, you're going to get to play at home, not travel, so maybe that helps with things too.
Absolutely. It's always always good to be at home, play in front of our home crowd, and it takes a little bit less of it when you don't have to go hop on a bus and for an hour and a half, 2 hour bus
Well,
ride before playing a game.
and you should shoot better in your gym, right? I mean, that's the thing. You're practicing every day. You should shoot better. I mean, it may be marginal 5%, but that 5% could be the 5 more buckets you need to win a game.
Absolutely.
So, well, Coach, really appreciate the time
Yes,
as
sir.
always,
Thank you.
and best of luck. And we'll talk to you again soon. Jacob Birnbaum, head coach of boys basketball here at Ponca City. Thanks to Chris behind the camera. That's going to do it for today's Coach's Corner. Until next time, Jordan Woodruff saying so long. And until then, go Cats.